I came home from the hospital and saw my mother-in-law taking photos of my sleeping husband. She said, for the family. Days later, strangers were donating thousands. When we found the page, the headline said, "My son is dying." At the time, I thought she was just being dramatic. That was always the easiest way to explain Brittany. So when she stood beside Austin's hospital bed, phone raised, snapping pictures while he was still pale and half asleep from anesthesia, I didn't want to start a fight. I was tired. Austin was tired. We had already spent the whole morning waiting for his gallbladder surgery to be done. It was supposed to be simple. Painful, yes. Scary while I waited, yes. But simple. He had been getting sharp pains under his ribs for months. At first, he brushed it off. Then one night, he doubled over in the hallway and scared me so badly I almost called an ambulance before he could argue. The doctor said his gallbladder needed to come out. After the surgery, the surgeon told me everything went well. No complications. No surprises. Just recovery. Austin was groggy when I came back into the room. He blinked at me like he was trying to remember where he was, then gave me a weak smile. "Did I survive?" he mumbled. I touched his hand and said, barely, "You were very brave." He smiled a little, then fell asleep again. Brittany arrived not long after. She rushed in with her purse still on her shoulder and pressed both hands to her chest. "My poor boy," she whispered, like he had survived something much worse than a routine procedure. I told her he was okay. I told her the doctor said it went well. She nodded, but I could tell she barely heard me. She was too busy looking at Austin with that dramatic, trembling expression she used whenever she wanted the room to feel sorry for her. A nurse came in to explain the discharge instructions. Bland food. No heavy lifting. Watch the incision sites. Call if he developed a fever or severe pain. Brittany nodded along like she was receiving instructions for a life-or-death mission. I had to step out for a few minutes to sign papers and take a work call I could not move. When I came back, the room was dim. Austin was asleep again, one hand resting over the blanket, his face pale from the anesthesia. Brittany was standing over him with her phone. Click, click, click. She moved closer, tilted the screen, and took another picture. "What are you doing?" I asked. She didn't look embarrassed. She just lowered the phone slightly and gave me a soft smile. "I'm updating the family. He's asleep." "I know. He looks peaceful." There was something strange about that word. Peaceful. Austin didn't look peaceful. He looked sore, drugged, and exhausted. There was tape on his arm, hospital lighting on his face, and a thin blanket pulled over his legs. But I didn't want to fight with her in a hospital room. I told myself she was his mother. I told myself some parents took pictures when they were scared. I told myself Brittany was annoying, not dangerous. So I let it go. We brought Austin home that afternoon. He slept in the recliner for 2 nights because getting in and out of bed hurt too much. I kept track of his medicine, changed the small bandages, and made him soup because everything heavier made him nauseous. Brittany texted constantly. "How is my son? Did he eat? Send me a picture. Is he sleeping? Tell him his mother loves him." When Austin had energy, he answered. When he didn't, I answered for him. It was annoying, but normal for her. After a week, Austin was moving around again. Still sore, but better. He joked that he never wanted to eat plain toast again. He complained about being bored. He asked when he could have coffee. I thought the worst was behind us. Then the doorbell rang. I was folding laundry in the living room when I opened the door and found Olivia standing on our porch. I knew her from the church Austin grew up attending. She was kind, older, and always spoke like she was trying not to cry. She held a foil-covered dish in one hand and a thick envelope in the other. The second she saw me, her eyes filled. "Oh, sweetheart," she whispered. Then she hugged me. I stood there frozen with a towel still in my hand. "We're all praying," she said. "The whole church is praying for him." I pulled back slowly. "For Austin?" She nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. "He's always been such a good man. We believe in miracles." My stomach tightened. Behind me, Austin walked into the hallway wearing sweatpants and an old hoodie, one hand resting carefully near his stomach. Olivia saw him and covered her mouth. "Oh, Austin," she said. "You look so strong." Austin looked at me. I looked at him. Neither of us understood what was happening. Olivia handed him the dish and envelope. "It's not much. Just something to help with expenses. Please don't be too proud to accept it." After she left, Austin opened the envelope at the kitchen table. There was cash inside. $900. The card was filled with messages. "Stay strong. Keep fighting. God is bigger than any diagnosis. Austin read it twice. Then he looked up at me. What diagnosis? I didn't have an answer. For a few seconds, the kitchen felt too quiet. Then his phone buzzed. It was a message from Noah, someone he hadn't talked to in a while. Man, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. You've got this. Austin stared at it. Then another message came in. Then another. By dinner, 2 more people had texted. Someone left soup on the porch. Someone else sent flowers with a note that said, "Cancer picked the wrong man." Austin sat at the kitchen table, pale in a different way now. I don't have cancer, he said. I know. Then why does everyone think I do? My mind went straight back to Brittany in the hospital room. Her phone raised. Her smile. Her voice sang for the family. I called her. She didn't answer. Austin called her. Straight to voicemail. He texted, "Mom, what is going on?" No reply. That night, Austin fell asleep from exhaustion. I didn't. I lay beside him in the dark, listening to his breathing and the occasional buzz of his phone on the nightstand. At first, I tried to explain it away. Maybe Brittany had said surgery and someone exaggerated it. Maybe a prayer chain got out of control. Maybe someone heard hospital and filled in the blanks. But every excuse led me back to the same image. Brittany standing over my sleeping husband, taking photos. At 2 in the morning, I got out of bed. I took my laptop to the kitchen. And I typed my husband's name into the search bar. The fundraiser was the first thing that came up. I clicked it with my heart already pounding. The page loaded slowly, like the internet was giving me time to turn back. Then I saw the headline. Help Austin fight stage 4 cancer. For a second, my eyes refused to understand it. I read it again. Then again. There were the hospital pictures Brittany had taken. Only now they looked different. Darker. Cropped. Edited in a way that made Austin look fragile and near death. One photo showed the 4. Another showed his face while he slept. Another showed my hand on the blanket, but my face had been cut out completely. I scrolled. The story underneath was worse. Brittany had written paragraph after paragraph about her brave son. She claimed doctors had discovered cancer during his surgery. She wrote that it had spread. She said Austin and I were too devastated to ask for help ourselves, so she was asking for us. She mentioned special treatments, travel, medicine, bills. None of it was true. Not one word. At the side of the page was the total. $58,000. I stared at the number until it blurred. $58,000 from people who thought my husband was dying. People from church. People from his old school. People who probably gave $50 when they barely had enough for groceries. All because Brittany had turned a normal surgery into a tragedy. I covered my mouth, but the sound still came out of me. Austin woke up when I turned on the bedroom light. He squinted at me. What happened? I couldn't speak. I just turned the laptop toward him. He sat up slowly, careful because of the incisions. Then he saw it. His face changed. Not anger first. Shock. Then fear. No, he whispered. He took the laptop from me, scrolled through the page, and shook his head like his body was rejecting what his eyes were seeing. No, she wouldn't do this. But she had. He clicked the photos. He read the fake diagnosis. He saw the donations. Then he saw the organizer's name. Brittany. His mother. He called her again. Nothing. Again. Nothing. Then he texted, "Take this down now." No answer. We sat at the kitchen table until sunrise. Neither of us slept. Austin kept refreshing the page, and every time the total rose, he flinched. Someone donated $25. Then someone donated $100. Then someone wrote, praying for a full recovery. Austin pushed the laptop away. I'm going to be blamed for this, he said. No, you're not. How do you know? I didn't. His face was on the page. His name was in the headline. People were giving money because they thought they were helping him. I didn't know, he said. I know. What if nobody believes that? I reached for his hand, but he pulled away and rubbed his face. I need to talk to her. So we drove to Brittany's house. Austin didn't play music. He didn't speak. He just gripped the steering wheel and stared ahead, his jaw tight. When we pulled into her driveway, I saw her through the front window. She was sitting at her dining table with a mug in her hand. The moment she saw us, she stood. By the time Austin reached the porch, the door was locked. He knocked. No answer. He knocked harder. Mom, he called. Open the door. Still nothing. Then he slammed his fist against the wood. Open the door right now. A curtain shifted across the street. I touched his arm. Austin. He turned to me with this broken look. She told people I'm dying. The door opened a few inches. The chain was still on. Brittany looked through the gap, not at Austin first, but past him, checking the street. "Keep your voice down," she snapped. Austin stared at her. "Are you serious? Do not embarrass me on my own porch." That was when I knew. Not suspected. Knew. She wasn't confused. She wasn't shocked. She wasn't finding out with us. She was angry because we had found out. She closed the door, unhooked the chain, and let us in. The second we stepped inside, she locked the door behind us. Austin held up his phone with the fundraiser open. "What did you do?" Brittany glanced at the screen once. Then she walked into the living room and closed the blinds. "I did what I had to do." The calmness in her voice scared me more than yelling would have. Austin's voice cracked. "You told people I have stage 4 cancer. You were in the hospital. For gallbladder surgery. People don't donate for gallbladders." The room went silent. Austin looked like she had slapped him. "You used my hospital pictures," he said. "I used what I had. What you had was your unconscious son." Brittany's eyes sharpened. "Don't be dramatic." I almost laughed because it was so absurd coming from her. Austin stepped closer. "Take it down." "I can't." "You can." "No," she said. "I can't." "Why?" Brittany looked from him to me, then back to him. "The money is already gone." For a second, nobody moved. Austin lowered his phone. "What do you mean it's gone?" Brittany crossed her arms like she had been preparing for this conversation. "I had debts." "What debts?" "Personal debts." Austin's face twisted. "You used cancer donations to pay your bills?" "I used money people freely gave." "Because you lied to them." I was desperate. She said it like that explained everything. Then she sat down and told us she had fallen behind on payments. She said the house was at risk. She said she had borrowed money from places she shouldn't have. She said she had been drowning for months and nobody cared enough to notice. Austin's anger faltered. I saw it happen. His shoulders lowered. His eyes changed. This was the trap Brittany had built inside him over his whole life. She would do something cruel, then become helpless. Suddenly Austin wasn't the person hurt by her anymore. He was the son responsible for saving her. "I was going to lose everything," she said, voice shaking now. "What was I supposed to do?" "Not fake my cancer," Austin said, but his voice was weaker. She leaned forward. "You think I wanted to? You think I enjoyed writing those things?" I said, "The page says he might not make it through the year." She looked at me like I had no right to speak. "This is between me and my son." "No," I said. "You made it public when you took money from people." Austin turned to me. "Please." That one word hurt. "Please." As if I was the dangerous one in the room. Brittany saw it too. She moved fast. "If you expose me," she said to Austin, "you expose yourself." His face went still. "What?" "Your name is on that page. Your face is on that page. Donations were made for you. If police get involved, do you really think they'll believe you had no idea?" I stepped forward. "That's not how this works." Brittany ignored me. "They'll ask why you didn't report it sooner. They'll ask why money came in while you stayed quiet. They'll ask whether you planned this with me." "We found it last night," I said. "And who will prove that?" she snapped. Austin's breathing changed. Brittany softened instantly. "Oh, honey," she said. "I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to protect you. All we have to do is let it calm down." "Calm down?" I asked. She nodded. "I'll stop posting updates. We can say there was a medical mistake, or that the diagnosis changed, or that treatment worked. We can refund people slowly if we need to." "You spent the money," I said. "I can fix it." "With what?" Her jaw clenched. Austin sat on the edge of the sofa and put his head in his hands. I stood there, watching my husband fold in on himself while his mother tried to turn a crime into a family problem. Brittany knelt in front of him. "I am your mother," she whispered. "I made mistakes, but I am still your mother. Do not let your wife push you into something you can't take back." Austin looked up at her. His eyes were red. "You told people I was dying." Brittany touched his knee. "And if you send me away for that, will you feel better? Will that make you a good son?" I wanted to pull him out of that house. Instead, he whispered, "I need time." Brittany exhaled like she had won. "Take time," she said. "But keep quiet while you think." The drive home was worse than the drive there. Austin sat in the passenger seat this time, staring out the window. He didn't look angry anymore. He looked lost. When we got home, he walked straight to the bedroom. I followed him. "Austin, we have to report this." He sat on the bed. "I know what she did is wrong." "Wrong? It's fraud." "I know. People are still donating." "I know. Then we don't have time to sit with this." He looked up sharply. "She's my mother. And you're my husband." That finally made him quiet. I softened my voice. I'm not saying this to punish her. I'm saying this because she tied your name to it. She used your face. She let people believe you were dying. If this comes out later, it will look like we hid it. He pressed his palms against his eyes. Just give me 1 day. 1 day means more donations. I need to think. What is there to think about? He flinched. I regretted the tone immediately, but I couldn't take it back. Austin stood. You don't understand what it feels like. To be used by her? To have everyone expect you to destroy your own mother overnight. He walked into the bathroom and shut the door. I stood outside it, shaking. I wanted to be gentle. I wanted to be patient. But the fundraiser was still active, the lie was still spreading, and every hour made it harder to explain why we hadn't acted. I went back to the kitchen and opened the laptop. The total had gone up again. Then I saw a new update from Brittany. My heart started pounding before I clicked it. She had written that Austin had suffered a difficult night and that the family was asking for privacy while they prepared for the next step. I read it twice. Then I walked to the bathroom door and knocked. Austin. No answer. She posted again. The door opened. He stepped out with a towel in his hands. What? I turned the laptop toward him. He read it. His face emptied. She's not stopping, I said. Austin didn't speak. He just sat down on the edge of the bed. For the first time, I saw something worse than fear in him. I saw surrender. That was when I stopped waiting for him to save us. I loved Austin. I still do. But love does not mean standing quietly while someone burns your life down and calls it loyalty. I started with the fundraiser. I took screenshots of everything. The headline. The photos. The description. The donation total. Brittany's name. The update she had posted that morning. Then I gathered Austin's real medical papers. The discharge summary. The surgery instructions. Everything that proved the truth was simple. Gallbladder removal. No cancer. No emergency discovery. No experimental treatment. No dying husband. Then my phone buzzed. It was Brittany. Her message said, "You had no right coming to my house like that. Keep quiet and let me fix this. If you make this public, Austin goes down with me." I stared at the words. There it was. Not an apology. Not panic. A threat. I saved the message. Then another came in. You think people will believe he knew nothing? His name is all over it. My hands went cold. I showed Austin. He stared at the screen for a long time. She's scared, he said. I looked at him stunned. Austin. I'm not defending her. You are. I'm trying to understand. No, I said quietly. You're trying to survive her. His eyes flashed with pain, but he didn't argue. He handed the phone back and said, I can't do this right now. Then he walked into the guest room and shut the door. That was the first time he shut that door between us. I waited 10 minutes. Then I got my keys. I drove to the police station with both hands locked around the steering wheel. My mind kept trying to scare me out of it. What if Austin never forgives me? What if his family hates me? What if this turns into something bigger than I can control? Then I thought of Olivia crying on my porch. The $900 in that envelope. The fake prayers under fake updates. My husband's face being used like a prop. I parked, sat in the car for a minute, and forced myself to breathe. Then I walked inside. I told the officer I needed to report a fundraiser using false medical claims. My voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. He asked questions. I answered them. Then a detective took me into a smaller room. I gave him the folder. I showed him the fundraiser. I showed him Austin's medical papers. I showed him Brittany's messages. I told him my husband had discovered it with me the night before and had not created the page, collected money, or approved any of it. The detective didn't promise everything would be fine. He didn't tell me I had done the right thing. He just took notes, asked for dates, and said they would contact the fundraising platform. When I left, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely unlock my car. I called Austin. He didn't answer. I texted him. I reported it. I had to. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Finally, his reply came. You should have waited. I sat in the parking lot and cried. Not because I thought I was wrong. Because I knew the marriage I had that morning might not be the marriage I went home to. The platform froze the fundraiser that afternoon. By evening, people were asking questions. Some donors received notices that the campaign was under review. Someone posted in a local community group asking if anyone knew what was happening. Then another person replied that Austin was not actually being treated for cancer. The story spread fast. By the next morning, the page was gone. By that afternoon, Brittany called me 16 times. I didn't answer. Then she called Austin. He answered in the guest room with the door closed. I couldn't hear everything. Only pieces. Mom, stop. No, I didn't tell her to. I didn't know she would go today. Mom, listen to me. Then silence. Then his voice lower. I don't know if I can fix this. That sentence hurt more than I expected, because part of him still thought it was his job. 2 days later, police went to Brittany's house. There were no dramatic sirens. No big scene. Just 2 cars pulling up in front of her quiet street while neighbors pretended not to watch. She came outside in a sweater, looking smaller than usual. The officers spoke to her. She looked past them, searching the street like Austin might appear and stop it. He didn't. He was home with me, standing at the living room window, staring at nothing. When his phone rang, he didn't pick up. When Kayla called, he didn't pick up. When Roger called, he didn't pick up. Brittany was taken in for questioning. Later, charges were filed related to the false fundraiser and the money she had already moved. The platform began working on refunds for donors. The legal process was no longer something the family could hide. And that was when everyone decided I was the villain. Kayla texted first. Not Austin. Me. You had no right. Then another. This could have been handled privately. Then another. You destroyed this family. I stared at the screen, almost laughing from disbelief. Brittany had told people her son was dying. She had taken thousands of dollars from them. She had kept posting updates after we confronted her. But I was the one who destroyed the family. Roger called next. He hadn't lived with Brittany in years. He barely spoke to her. But suddenly he had strong opinions about loyalty. You should have let Austin handle his own mother, he said. I stood in the kitchen, one hand gripping the counter. She was using his name. That was still his decision. It was our life too. Roger sighed like I was a child who didn't understand. Families have ugly moments. You don't bring police into them unless there's no other choice. There was no other choice. You didn't give it time. I looked toward the hallway. The guest room door was closed. That's what everyone keeps saying, I said. Give it time. But time was exactly what she was using. Roger went quiet. Then he said, well, I hope being right keeps you warm at night. He hung up. I stood there for a long time. Because the cruelest part was, he had found the wound. On paper, I had done the right thing. The fundraiser was stopped. Donors were being contacted. Austin's real medical records were documented. Brittany could no longer quietly spend money that was never hers. But my husband wasn't sleeping beside me anymore. He had moved into the guest room the night I reported her. At first, I told myself he just needed space. 1 night. Maybe 2. Then 3 nights passed. Then a week. He came out for food. He showered. He answered questions with as few words as possible. He looked at me like I was someone he used to know. The worst part was that he never yelled. I almost wanted him to. Anger would have been easier than that blank silence. One evening, I brought him tea because he had barely eaten all day. He was sitting on the edge of the guest bed, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor. I set the mug on the nightstand. Austin, I said softly. We have to talk. He gave a tired laugh. Now we have to talk? I flinched. I'm sorry I didn't wait. He looked at me. His eyes were red, but dry. No, you're not. I opened my mouth, then closed it. He was right. I was sorry for hurting him. I was sorry for the timing. I was sorry for the fallout. But I wasn't sorry for reporting the truth. Austin rubbed his hands together. I know what she did was wrong, he said. I know it was serious. I'm not stupid. I never said you were. But you didn't let me stand up on my own. You didn't give me a chance to decide anything. 1 minute I found out my mother had done something horrible, and the next minute police were involved. She was still taking money. I know. She posted another update. I know. Then what was I supposed to do? He looked away. I don't know. That answer broke me more than an accusation would have. Because it meant there was no version of this where everyone walked away clean. He continued, voice low. When I look at you, I know you were protecting me. But I also see the person who took my mother away in handcuffs. My throat tightened. I didn't take her away. Her choices did. I know that in my head, he said. But it doesn't feel that simple. The room went quiet. Outside, a car passed. Its headlights moved across the wall, then disappeared. I sat carefully on the chair near the closet. I was scared, I said. I was scared they would think you helped her. I was scared your name would be tied to it forever. I was scared we'd lose everything because she was counting on you staying silent. Austin stared at the floor. She knew I would, he whispered. I didn't move. He swallowed hard. She knew I'd freeze. She knew I'd ask for time. She knew I'd feel guilty. She knew I'd worry more about her than myself. His voice cracked on the last word. For 1 second, I saw my husband again. Not the silent man behind a closed door. Not the son trained to carry his mother's chaos. My husband. Hurt. Humiliated. Trying to understand how the woman who raised him could use his face, his body, his name, and his love against him. I wanted to hold him. But I didn't. I waited. He wiped his eyes with the heel of his hand. I hate that you were right, he said. I breathed out shakily. I hate that I had to be. He didn't ask me to leave that night. But he didn't ask me to stay either. So I left the tea on the nightstand and walked back to the kitchen. The house felt different after that. Not fixed. Not healed. Just less frozen. The legal case moved forward. Brittany was not locked away forever like everyone had screamed. She was released while the process continued, but her accounts were reviewed, the remaining funds were frozen, and the platform began refunding donors where it could. People in the community learned the truth. Some were furious. Some were embarrassed. Some sent Austin messages saying they were sorry he had been dragged into it. Olivia came by once more. This time, she didn't bring food. She brought the same envelope Austin had returned to her through the church. She stood on our porch and cried again, but differently this time. I'm sorry, she said. I should have checked. Austin shook his head. You were trying to help. So were you, she said, looking at me. Austin didn't respond. But he didn't correct her. That mattered. Kayla stopped texting after I sent her one message. Your mother used your brother's hospital photos to collect money under a false diagnosis. You can be angry at me, but I will not apologize for stopping it. She never replied. Roger called Austin a few times. I don't know exactly what they discussed. Austin didn't tell me everything, and I stopped pushing. One night after a call with him, Austin came into the kitchen and said, My dad thinks I should forgive her. I asked, What do you think? He leaned against the counter. I think everyone wants forgiveness because it's easier than accountability. That was the first moment I felt something like hope. Not victory. Not relief. Just hope. Austin still slept in the guest room for a while after that. Some wounds don't close just because the truth is obvious. He started therapy, not because I forced him, but because he scheduled it himself after reading through the fundraiser again and realizing he could barely look at the photos. The photos his mother took while he was asleep. The photos I watched her take. That part still haunts me. Brittany eventually sent Austin a letter. She didn't send one to me. In it, she wrote that she had panicked, that she never meant for it to go so far, and that she hoped one day he would remember she was still his mother. Austin read it at the kitchen table. Then he folded it, put it back in the envelope, and said, She never said she was sorry for what she did to me. Only for what happened to her. I didn't say anything. He didn't need me to. A few weeks later, he moved some of his clothes back into our bedroom. Not all of them. Just some. He didn't make a speech about it. He didn't say everything was okay. He just carried a stack of shirts down the hallway and put them in the dresser like he was testing whether the room still belonged to him. That night, he slept beside me for the first time since the arrest. There was space between us. But he stayed. I lay awake for a long time, listening to his breathing in the dark, remembering the night I found the fundraiser and thought the truth would save us cleanly. It didn't. The truth saved Austin's name. It helped protect the donors. It stopped Brittany from building a bigger lie. But it also cracked open parts of my marriage that had been buried long before I ever entered the family. I used to think betrayal was loud. A slammed door. A screaming fight. A confession that changes everything. But sometimes betrayal is quiet. It is a mother standing over her sleeping son with a phone in her hand. It is a fake prayer written under a stolen photo. It is a family asking you to protect their reputation instead of the people they hurt. And sometimes doing the right thing does not feel brave. Sometimes it feels like sitting alone in your kitchen, wondering if the person you saved will ever stop seeing you as the person who broke his world. Austin and I are not magically healed. Brittany is facing consequences, but that does not erase what she did. The donors are still angry. The family is still divided. My husband is still learning that love should not come with a debt he has to pay forever. As for me, I do not regret reporting her. I regret that he had to learn the truth this way. I regret that I didn't stop her from taking those photos. I regret that kindness made so many people easy to manipulate. But I do not regret choosing reality over silence. Because silence was exactly what Brittany was counting on. I didn't destroy the family. I exposed the part of it that was already broken. Still, when Austin looks at me on the hard days, I can see the question he is too tired to ask. Did I protect him? Or did I take away the last illusion he had left? I honestly don't know. All I know is that one hospital photo almost ruined our lives, and the woman who took it still thinks the worst thing I did was tell the truth.